Welcome back to Spring River Homestead. I'm Kanan.
I'm Nikki.
This week we're going to kick off a new series called Would You Rather. We're going to select a topic out of a hat, and we have to defend our position on would we rather own or raise, etc. What we're going to select, we have to base it on facts or some opinions and defend our position. This week our subject is going to be, would you rather raise chickens or raise rabbits? Now off screen we're going to spend 5 minutes coming up with our answers, and when we come back we're going to defend our positions on would we rather raise rabbits or chickens. All right, we are back after 5 minutes. We each have our positions on which we would raise, and I am going to go first since this is my idea. I would raise rabbits over chickens. Now some of the reasons for this is I like rabbits more. I think they're more personable. One, I think they're just as versatile as chickens.
This is a guy who doesn't deal with the rabbits on a daily basis.
And I think they are easier to butcher and process than chickens. So I would choose rabbits, knowing that I'm going to miss out on some wings and I won't have eggs for breakfast. What do you got?
Okay, so I'm going to take this from the perspective of if I can't get feed. Rabbits, everybody by now knows that rabbits are my thing. And it's in terms of being lean meat, they're incredible. They're versatile. Obviously, I've done a cookbook on them. I like the idea that, you know, if you raise them to a certain age, you can get a usable byproduct in the pelt, and the manure cannot be beat for straight application in the garden. However, chickens do give us eggs, which are pretty handy for all kinds of different cooking. And you can free range chickens, and chickens can eat so many more things being omnivores than rabbits. If I couldn't get feed at the store, I could eventually transition my rabbits onto grass hay and vegetables and these other things. But that's not what domestic rabbits are raised for. It's not what they were developed on. So I would have a far easier time getting chickens onto something else.
Okay, but I like the housing on rabbits the way we at least raise rabbits. Individual cages with drop pans. I find when I take care of them, when Nikki's out of town or something, I find it easier to care for and or clean rabbits in the cages versus the chickens of how we raise them inside.
Again, part of that is that you don't deal with them. So the rabbit drop pans still have to be cleaned.
Yes.
Whereas the chicken run only needs to be cleaned twice a year at tops.
Okay. For
the most part. Rabbit pans, especially if you've got a litter in there, you may be doing those bad boys once a week. Some people are, doing far more than that. But, so there's more of that. When it's freezing cold, you've still got to chisel that cold frozen pea out of those drop pans. Whereas the chickens, if it's that cold and muddy and you can't get in there to clean, you just throw a little bit more shavings on it. They kind of self-clean. The other thing about that is, we've got this. So I know we've not really shown our setup, but anyway, we have really the same size buildings for the rabbits, for the chickens, for the turkeys. The things that make it different is all about how the interior is set up. So we do triple stack cages for the rabbits, and the chicken buildings are divided into pens by breed. So as far as expense for setting that up, it is far cheaper, even the way we have it. I have 5 pens down one side for my chicken breeds. That's 5 pens holding 25 birds. Those stackers, a good set of 3 stackers are expensive. And they don't last forever. I've been, over the last year and a half, replacing floors and fixing cages because they wear out over time, especially in the Americans and some of the bigger rabbits. They'll bounce. And rabbit pee is hard on everything, so eventually it eats the wire and you end up with holes. That doesn't really happen in the chicken pens. Once they're built, they're pretty much built. You get the little maintenance-y items, but mostly it's just cleaning and they're set. So I think for the most part, housing the chickens is probably cheaper.
Well, what about the point that rabbits are quieter than chickens? If you've not had a rooster outside your window at 4 a.m., it is a wake-up call, where the rabbits, Now, occasionally they'll scream and do some other things, but they are quite a bit more, I'd say, quiet inside or outside buildings than chickens.
And I think this is the argument where you're going to win. Because when you add on the manure, the meat is apples to oranges, or apples to apples to me. It's very similar in nutritional content. Yeah, when you add in the quiet and that kind of thing, yeah, I'll agree with you. I'd rather go with the rabbits.
So I think if you're in a setting where quiet smell, I think the smell is equitable between both. I won't say one is really bad, one is really good.
Ammonia is ammonia.
Yeah, it is what it is. But I think if you had a setting where you needed something a little more quiet, but you wanted a protein source for raising them and something with, I think, a little bit better personality, I'd still going to stick with the rabbits.
And you can kind of get, especially in a neighborhood, you can kind of get away with rabbits where you can't always get away with chickens. A lot of HOAs and stuff have rules against having chickens, but they tend to forget rabbits as this mystery pet type thing. And if you've got 3, if you've just got 2 does and a buck, or 2 does and 2 bucks, you can make the argument they're just pets.
Yep, exactly. So for me, it's going to be rabbits over chickens if I had to choose one or the other. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go with rabbits.
So there you have it. 2 of 2 say if you have to choose chickens over rabbits, rabbits for the win.
I tried to give chickens a good fighting chance, but you're right. We'll go rabbits.
All right, so that's it for this week with our Would You Rather series. We have a bunch more, but if you have topics you want to throw in the hat, go ahead and leave them down in the comments, and we will add that to our list. We have a pretty good list so far of things, and we've already solicited a few off of our community page on YouTube, and on our Facebook page, we've got a great selection of comments and questions.
And don't forget to leave your own opinion down in the bottom. Maybe we're crazy. Maybe you absolutely think rabbits are crazy and chickens are the way to go. And we'll enjoy reading them.
Exactly. So if that's it for this time from Sprague Homestead, we'll catch you next week with our next Would You Rather. And
happy homesteading.